Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast talk. It's been a while. I know about roughly a month or 4 weeks since I've done one of these. Um, I've been kind of a little bit busy, personal things going on, a lot of friends, family. Also been playing some cards and busy with uh, planting seeds and trying to grow stuff for my garden in the future. Small things, so a little bit distracted, but I guess I kind of got to a point where I was a little bit stuck for a bit. I know I mentioned auth and authorization and looking into Cognito, which I keep on trying and trying, and I can't figure it out. So what I want to talk about today is how I eventually did figure out how to do auth and got that implemented for my app. Currently, I'm using Firebase Auth combined with Vue Fire to make things a little bit more simple, and it's been amazing so far. So it's taken something that I thought was really complicated and confusing, um, and it just wraps everything up so nicely. I can just write a helper wrapper function around anything in the Google Firebase auth documentation examples, throw that into an async function, and it just works. That's about as good as a compliment as I could give it. And so I do have auth implemented using um, just my own custom components, and you can register, you can sign in with your email and create a password, alphanumeric, and then it will also email you a verification email once you register. However, there's no authorization just yet, so right now you can authenticate, sign in, sign out, and that's really cool already. So, hoping to add maybe like sign in with Google accounts, possibly Facebook or Twitter. Kind of on the fence about those right now since they recently had two-form authentication hacking in some third-party system. I think it was Facebook and Instagram, but I won't hold that against them for now. Google, want to add definitely in the future, so I use that a lot personally. Um, but I think LinkedIn would be pretty cool too. So having one account to just sign into all these things, that would be great. And that's all you need, I would think. However, that leads me to my next topic, kind of a big one, and the part that I didn't quite get to, which was user profiles and creating like favorite jobs lists. Um, so something I've kind of been putting off for a while is dealing with the back end database. And right now, I just wanted to try and get something up and running that kind of could display something. And so right now I'm using Amazon S3, and it's basically uploading a whole giant JSON file, roughly like 7-8 MB or so, that contains all the jobs that I've aggregated from all these sites. And it's if you have a fast internet connection, you can download this file within, yeah, maybe 5 to 10 seconds. Um, but obviously, this is not going to scale very well. Um, there's just me that's accessing it at the moment. So imagine if there were, hundreds of thousands of people trying to access it at the same time. That would not work very well. And in the long run, it's going to have to be pushed into some kind of database. And I was kind of kicking that can down the road. Still will be, but that also brings me to the user profiles, which are also going to be on a database I mean, that you can't have that stored on the front end. That's not secure at all. um, and so each user will be able to access read write on to this database, but only for their accounts. So I really had to figure out how to deal with this database issue. From the Google perspective, Firebase, they've got their Firestore database, which is kind of expensive, and people say it doesn't scale very well either. But it can hold up to 1 MB, and I've played around with it for a little bit, but I don't think that's the answer long term. And since I'm already sort of on the AWS platform, um, I thought it would be the best use of my time to try and learn the AWS ecosystem. So, like I said, I've been kicking this can down the road for a while. Um, the the NoSQL database that everyone recommends seems to be DynamoDB, and I've been doing a lot of research and background reading and watching a lot of YouTube videos of folks who are a lot more well versed in AWS and DynamoDB and all these different services. I've been trying to wrap my head around how this all works, and yeah, it's really complicated, and I think it's going to be a good use of my time to hold off on implementing anything right now and just kind of do some self-studying, self-learning on AWS DynamoDB and all these other services that I could potentially be using to make my life easier, rather than try and bash my head into the wall and try and figure this out. And I mean, every time I have a small issue, I've had to create a history case with AWS business support. So I'm paying like $100 a month for this support, which has been good. But I don't think it's their job is to teach me how to use all these things. It's more just to like fix things when things don't go right or not as expected. So if I were to, contact them for every little issue, which I've been kind of doing, it's going to take me forever. And so it's better that I just, take some time, maybe just put off. My initial thoughts were just to spend the rest of March and to just kind of focus on studying the AWS ecosystem and just learn how, not just ecosystem, but like using a NoSQL database. I've never worked with NoSQL. Like I've done like Oracle, SQL server based databases. I've done Access, which is also SQL based, and also took some classes with like Postgres, but it's all in the same SQL relational database. So setting up a NoSQL database seems to be a little bit different. Not like impossible, especially for someone as data savvy as myself. I should be able to figure this out. So I just gotta, do a lot of research and studying, and that's probably what I'm gonna do out. It sounds like once you create the schema for your NoSQL database, it's going to be really hard to change, especially your local indexes and your global indexes. I'm not sure how they all work exactly, but I'm trying to learn this and make sure I set it up the right way. My first thoughts is to use the agency as the primary key and then perhaps have a unique job ID, which I'm still not sure how I'm going to generate exactly for each job so that it can't be duplicated and that they're unique. I'm going to have to figure that part out. So that's going to be part of this whole data modeling process for setting up this database. And like I said, I'm not using too many AWS features at the moment or services. Right now I'm using Amplify just to host the site, so it's kind of like my Firebase or Netlify or whatever, just for deployment. And S3 is where my flat file, JSON file jobs database is living at the moment. Just a simple S3 bucket, which I'm reading and writing to. And then I've got Route 53 set up for the DNS to my Park Bun hosting site. And then I've got some whole bunch of IAM rules, which I don't really understand all these different roles and policies and the language. And that's another thing I'm really going to have to buckle down and learn. And because I've got like a bajillion IAM roles that I probably don't need and probably auto-generated that I should clean up. So a lot of stuff on the back end that needs maintenance, and I just haven't really gotten to it. Some things I'm looking forward to using in the future, maybe Lambda. That seems to be pretty useful, just being able to push up code that can connect to all these different services and automate some things. I was messing around with EC2, which maybe I will have to do later down the road, but I'm not quite sure what the benefits of it yet. So I'm going to have to do some more research on, spinning up the virtual servers. And CDK, which looks pretty cool. So I'm doing everything through the AWS console right now, which is kind of a pain in the butt, and I'm not sure what's going on. If it's working or not. So if I can figure out how to use CDK to write everything into a CDK JSON file and then just push that up, deploy that, and have that just work, that would be awesome. Because setting up all these IAM, it feels like every time I try to do something, I'm getting an access denied, and I'm like, oh my god, where do I fix this? And why doesn't it just work? So it's kind of been annoying. And I know down the road, along the lines of security and IAMs, is this VPC, which is virtual private cloud or something. But the idea is to make things more secure and not anyone can just, access everything. And I'm never really done much security things. I've always been more a developer. So this will be a new experience. And then lastly, there's Google Analytics, which I've kind of been using, especially for my other sites that are more static sites. It's really easy to just throw a Google tag and have that track some metrics. But I don't think that's going to be a good idea in the long run. Google owns all your data, and furthermore, you can't really control all the different parameters that you'd want to be able to track. So my goal is to, accrue as many daily active users. And how am I going to be measuring that is, time on the site, what actions people are using, and those kind of metrics are really important to, track growth. And so it seems like at the moment, AWS doesn't really have any type of analytics solutions, which I'm surprised considering how many services they have. So it's something I might need to explore down the road once, I have something that's people want to use. And so, yeah, that's maybe come April, May, I'll hopefully be able to get to that point. My goals for the rest of this month, like I said, are just to study AWS, so I probably won't be making any more videos. And then hopefully next month in April, I can actually just build out the rest of the back end, all the database, and have the user's, profile set up, and hopefully get away from my S3 bucket and, have a whole system that's, set up that I can quickly update. Because right now S3, it's okay, it's just for myself, and I can update it like that. But once I move to DynamoDB, NoSQL, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, at least until I can get all these things automated. It's probably going to be a whole bunch of lambdas or something. I'll have to figure all this out. So that's to come in April. And unfortunately, my goals for, initial goals February kind of didn't quite take place, and that's okay. This were always just rough guidelines, and at least I'm kind of, there's always going to be bumps in the road, and so just having a plan or a backup plan. I think this is going to be a good plan going forward, and it's never going to be smooth sailing. So just try and push forward and have a good idea of what to do. So thanks again for listening. I'll see you guys probably back in April. So thanks for listening to this talk. It's March 10th. I forgot to say that in the beginning, or maybe I did, but all right. See ya.